Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian and his trusty sidekick.
Hello.
In front of you are our first unit of Theban Hoplites. I've only got one small unit painted so far, but I will get more done later. The Thebans are from the Theban box. They're all in the Boeotian helmet, which is this funky little helmet that they have, and they're all kitted out with Theban kit. The officer I have actually given that cloak is from the Athenian box, and I have another officer here whose cloak is from the Theban box. That's the Theban cloak. That's the only difference. So I painted them in a sort of off linen for the leather armour and a white clothing with a whited helmet. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. Their symbol used on their shields is the club of Hercules.
It's not club-like.
It is, it's a club, it's got spikes in it. It's a sort of big long wooden club that Hercules used to hit people with.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. The reason I went for the colour scheme, when my father, many years ago, used to tell me stories about the Greeks, whenever the Thebes were mentioned, he used to put all the different groups into sort of things that I could understand as a very small child with a small brain. And so the Thebans were always very much like the Empire from Star Wars. So the Theban soldiers were always stormtroopers in my head. And when I came to painting them, I just kind of thought I'd have a go at it and see what they look like. I did one figure up, which is this figure in the middle, the officer, and I quite liked it, so I did them all like that. I just thought it would be quite interesting. Yeah, I'll go into the history in a minute. Do you have any questions before we start?
No.
No? Oh, okay, fine. Oh, straight into the history then.
And then questions.
Okay. Well, Thebes was the central kingdom in Boeotia. It was the sort of above Athens and sort of stretching up into northern Greece. Thebes was founded by a guy called Cadmus. Do you know the story of Cadmus?
No.
Okay. There's this guy called Cadmus, and he was the son of this king, and he had two brothers and a sister. And Zeus, who's the head god, he quite fancied the sister. And so he went up and chatted the sister up and said, "Hi, do you want to go get a coffee or something?" And the sister said, "No, I'm not really bothered." And he said, "Yeah, but I'm a god. I'm like the head god. Do you want to date?" And she said, "No, I'm not really interested." And he said, "Well, what about a latte?" And she said, "No, I'm not interested in that either." And he said, "But I drive a big BMW chariot." And he said, "I'm not interested, don't want to." No. So he went away, and then he disguised himself as a bull. And so she went, "Oh wow, a bull, I'll ride that." Literally got on the back of it. And it rode into the sea, and she was never seen again. Zeus kidnapped her, basically. This really tells you all you need to know about Greeks, about what Greek women were into. Seriously, look at the pottery, it's disgusting. And anyway, so after impersonating a bull, Zeus kidnaps the sister.
Romans were any better.
Yeah, well, foreigners, aren't they?
They enjoy goats.
Yeah, they seem to like ghosts for some reason. Anyway, so Cadmus and his brothers were sent to find his sister, and Cadmus got into all sorts of trouble and adventures and stuff, which are completely irrelevant. And in the end, he decided, you know what, I'm doing this wrong, because he was searching everywhere. He went to every single bit of Greece, searched the coastline and everything, went everywhere saying, "Have you seen my sister? She's about this tall and hangs out with a bull." And no one had seen her. And so he went to visit the oracle at Delphi. And you know, where people went to find out the future?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Leonidas did the same thing.
Yeah, Leonidas went there. And he turned up there and said, "Hi, priestess person, here's a bit of cash. Can you ask the gods where my sister is?" And the oracle said, "Oh, don't worry, she's fine. She lives on Crete." Anyway, what you should do really is just settle down and live in Greece. Just find somewhere to live. And he said, well, Greece is huge. There's loads of cities and stuff. I don't know what to do with it. And she said, well, tell you what, why don't you follow a cow, any cow at random, and follow the cow until the cow gets bored and lays down and goes to sleep, and that's where you're going to build your city. Right? And so he went, okay, and he followed the cow. And the cow walked for days on end, and eventually got tired, laid down and went to sleep. And Cadmus said, this is where I'm going to build my city. Okay. Unfortunately, this was in the middle of a field, and he was quite thirsty. And so he asked some of his soldiers to go and find a spring. So they went off and they found a spring, the spring of Thebes. Unfortunately, the spring was guarded by a dragon which ate his soldiers. This is the sort of thing that happened in Greece at the time. So Cadmus was stuck there with no soldiers and no one with him, and so he had to go and fight he was thirsty as well. He had to go and fight the dragon, and he killed the dragon, which was awesome. And he pulled the teeth out of the dragon and threw them on the floor, and out of the teeth, or from underneath the teeth, grew men. Big, strong, powerful men. And they were called Spartus, I think, off the top of my head. So it sounds like Spartan, but it's not. And they started beating each other up, but he got them to stop. And he persuaded them to help him build some buildings, because obviously they were quite, good artisans and stuff. And they built some houses, and that was the city of Thebes. And all Thebans are descended from the men who grew out of the dragon's teeth. That's the story of Thebes. That's who these men are. They actually descended
What about
from
his sister?
Oh, I forgot about his sister. Just forgot about his sister.
That attention span, mate.
Yeah, I know. Just like, what about his sister? Never mind. Anyway, Cadmus became king, married the daughter of the god of war, which is fun, and got into all sorts of adventures and stuff, and that stuff doesn't really matter. It would take too long to explain everything. Yeah. Anyway, so Thebes was a kingdom in Boeotia, this area of Greece. Now, Thebes originally was ruled by kings, like most other places in Greece, or all other places in Greece, and they overthrew their kings, and well, not really overthrew. They became democratic. They became a democracy, more or less on the Athenian model. So Thebes had a standing army, unlike most Greek nations. So very much like Sparta, it had a standing field army, and it also had citizen hoplites as well. They were quite well organised.
Definitely not like Sparta.
And they went to war constantly with Athens and Sparta. They didn't get along with each other at all. Large kingdoms on the border of large kingdoms tend to fight each other. And of course there was a war over Plataea. Do you remember we did that in the video?
Yeah.
When the Thebans turned up, and yeah. So as time went on, the Persians arrived, and the Thebans at first, they tried to persuade the rest of the Greek states not to go to war with Persia. They couldn't see the point. They said, why don't we just sort of accept Persia and we'll be fine. But no, the other Greeks wanted to fight, and they had a big war and won, and they defeated the Persians. Unfortunately, the Thebans sided with the Persians. Now, before the battles were fought, they managed to avoid the first war, but during the second war, 400 Thebans were forced to fight alongside the Spartans and the Theban and the Thespians, and they were positioned between the Thespians and the Spartans to prevent them from running away. And when Leonidas ordered all the Greeks to go home, the Thebans were ordered to stay and die to prove their loyalty to Greece.
That's just bull.
So they changed sides.
Yeah.
And joined the Persians.
Honestly, that is like the worst.
Yes, and they spent the rest of the war fighting on the side of the Persians. They lost their navy. They didn't have a huge navy to start with, but they lost their navy, and their army was extremely badly mauled at the Battle of Plataea. They retreated. Yes, they retreated into Boeotia, and that kind of would have been the end of it. Apart from the fact that after the war was over, the Athenians said, we've just won this war, we're now the Athenian Empire. And the thing about the other city-states, they just said, hang on a minute, we just fought a war with Persia because they wanted to dominate us, and now you're an empire?
Which means that they're controlled by them now.
Yes, and so they disagreed. And the the Spartans went to war with the Athenians, and the Thebans joined in. And it was a huge mess. It lasted 30 years war. And it ended with a peace treaty, which ended in another war, for complex reasons, which actually ended up with the Spartans being defeated in the end. And Thebes became the ruling kingdom in Greece. Although Athens still maintained its mini kingdom. Interesting? Yeah. Later on, after the Persian wars, after the wars with the Spartans, the Athenians created a group of men called the Sacred Band. There were 300 of them, and they were all married to each other. Very fun unit of soldiers. They were massacred by the Romans, funnily enough. The Romans didn't even notice they just wiped out the Thebans' greatest military unit. Just sort of, where are those Sacred Band people? Oh, they're dead in the field, you just walked over them. Didn't work out well for them. Anyway, that's that's a very, very brief history of Thebes. Over to you for questions.
Stats.
Stats, okay. Equipped with the dory, standard weapon is usually the kopis, which is the axe rather than, or the axis type sword rather than the dagger type sword, the gladius type sword. They're drilled, they're disciplined, and that's about it. They're relatively average troops, but they're drilled and disciplined, which means that it's a lot harder to break them. They're a lot better to keep in the field. Next question.
Why do they have Hercules Club?
Oh, because Hercules lived in Boeotia. And Hercules was famous, and he went around and did stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
So, but he didn't live in Theban land, did he?
Yeah.
That's Boeotia.
Yeah. Why?
Well, because basically it gave me a description of a bunch of soldiers that are basically useless in combat, and they had Hercules in their area.
Yeah, but Hercules is a myth.
No, but the idea is that basically, to make a myth true, you have to have someone similar to Hercules in their country.
Oh, yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, well, Hercules was just basically a hero, and he wanted to do stuff, and he was given these jobs he had to do.
Every hero is based off an individual.
Usually, yes. Like Cadmus himself, though, in the story of three brothers searching for their sister and then found the land. Very odd story. I would assume the original story. Bear in mind, the Greeks didn't belong in Greece. They actually colonised Greece. They came from somewhere else. So, most likely, there were three adventurers or three kings, whatever, sons of kings, who one of them built a colony in Thebes, most likely. So all myths have some sort of background to them, as you said. Like King Arthur kind of has a myth behind it, has some sort of reality behind it.
He existed.
Yeah, but it's how reality and not reality go together. Like, do you believe all the stories about Jesus? You know, the whole walking on water thing.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's in the we totally believe all the story. Yeah, although he wasn't crucified, funnily enough.
No, what I mean is I believe it because it's Black Sea.
Good point. Fact comment. Yeah, even fat people float there.
Really short water.
Yeah,
it makes it look like.
Yeah, like the story where there's the two gay guys in the boat.
Yeah.
And they're in a boat. There's these two guys in a boat fishing in a sea with no fish. And Jesus walks over to them and they say, "Oh, hello, Jesus," and they're pulling the trousers back up and say, "You just walked on water, that's amazing." And Jesus is like, "Yeah, now I'm trying out my new surfboard." And then they ask him what his opinion is on homosexuality. you know, should men be allowed to get married? Odd that they're the ones that ask, isn't it? It's just, never mind. Anyway,
I think that's it.
I think that's it. Any more questions on the subject of Thebes?
Nope.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be an interesting one of the armies. It's going to
yeah. Them hats are very similar to the Warhammer
be Imperial Guard hat.
Imperial Guard
Yes.
hat.
Yes, it is. Very much so. In fact, the first Imperial Guard hat was identical to this hat, but instead of the lip on the edge, it had a sort of round thing, which was the headphones. But it's identical to the Imperial Guard hat.
Sigmar will protect us.
That's not 40k, that's Warhammer.
That's why I said Warhammer.
Oh, right, okay, fair, I'll give you that one.
The hat's the same as Warhammer, not 40k.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that's why I thought they were Stormtroopers.
I'll be in Sigmar. You'll be in Sigmar?
No, I believe in only one. Because I'd go to prison if I didn't.
I can't see the video.
No, right. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. Over to him for the outro.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and comment down below what you think of the Thebans. That's everything from me.
And everything from him. Goodbye.